I do. Good afternoon. I think the length of time between 2:59 and 3 o'clock is about 10 minutes, but it's finally 3 o'clock, so it's time for us to begin our meeting. And we have a full quorum. All the council members are present, and I welcome all of you. So nice to have citizens come. We've got some exciting things to do today. So the first thing we always do in our city council meetings is start out with an invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance. So I see Father Reuben here, who's going to lead us in prayer. Father Reuben, thank you.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Let us pray. God of all creation, you give us a gift of seasons to mark our journey through time. The seasons of autumn with its change of colors and falling leaves reminds us that sometimes things must die and fall away for new life to arise. Such is the message of the cross, that through death to self we find life in all its richness. In those moments when we experience setbacks or failures, help us to remember that you are with us always, that there is no failure or sin your love cannot heal. Help us to trust in you and in your promise of new life. Bless our gathering and deliberations this day. Be for us a guidance as wisdom in our discernments in all that we endeavor for the good of our community of Horseshoe Bay. In your name we pray. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under this blessed flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we get started with the agenda, I just would like to introduce a couple of people that are here today. I noticed Peter Jones, our county commissioner from Llano County. Thank you, Peter, for being here. And Susan Patton, who is our representative to the LCRA. Susan's been wonderful to help us. So thank you, Susan, for coming. And another special person I want to introduce you all to is Buck Weatherby. Buck, would you just stand up or say hi?
Hey, Buck.
As many of you, as you all know, Dwight decided not to run for re-election for the county. For the council. But Buck stepped forward and put his name in the hat, and so Buck, unopposed in this election, is going to be on the council starting next year. We really look forward to having you, Buck. Thank you so much for stepping forward and volunteering for all of us. It was a tough election. Thank you. And the other thing I want to mention, of course, the first responders just ran out the door. It happened last time we were having a pinning ceremony. Just as we got ready to have the pinning ceremony, the sirens went off and they ran out the door. But this last week we celebrated an anniversary for a terrible thing in our country, 9/11. And I'd just like to recognize that it was something that touched us all. I don't think there's one person who doesn't remember where they were that day. And the lives that were lost and the positions that were taken by others and by our country, we hold them true today. So I just want to recognize all those that were lost and all those that went forward and did their duty during 9/11. So thank you. Okay, with that, we have the first order of business is proclamation declaring September 29th through October 5th as Source Water Protection Week. And Ray Garcia is going to start off with that.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, residents. Today I'm going to read the American Water Works, a staff report for September 29th through August 5th. It's the Source Water Protection Week. In conjunction with the American Water Works Association, staff requests that Council proclaim the week of September 29th and October through October the 5th Source Water Protection Week. The Lower Colorado River Basin is one of the most vital resources of our region. This proclamation is intended to bring awareness by residents and visitors to that fact. This includes awareness of source water pollutants, water conservation methods, and public involvement in local water issues and programs. Preservation of our water supply is a regional concern as well as a national concern, and it starts with protecting our source water.
Thank you, Ray. So we in Horseshoe Bay certainly take water very seriously, and as close as we are to the source of our water right here in Lake LBJ, we all want to be very careful about what we put in that lake, and we're all very aware of the importance of it. So I want to just read portions of this proclamation for the city of Horseshoe Bay. Whereas the health, prosperity, and quality of life of the city of Horseshoe Bay citizens and communities depend on a reliable supply of safe, high-quality drinking water, and whereas protecting our drinking water is essential to preserve our own health and economy and that of future generations, whereas all Horseshoe Bay residents and visitors are encouraged to recognize this precious resource and help conserve the watersheds that are the source of our water, protect our watershed resources from pollution, practice water conservation, become involved in local water issues, and plan and protect the water for the future community health and economic viability. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the city by the city council of the city of Horseshoe Bay, October 29th through September 29th through October 5th is Source Water Protection Week. So thank you very much for that. And the next proclamation is declaring October the 6th through the 12th as Fire Prevention Week, and Chief Doug Fowler will talk to us about that.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We do this on an annual basis. We try and focus on areas of concern, and this year, Fire Prevention Week, October 6th to the 12th, we are focusing on working home residential smoke alarms. With a working smoke alarm, you double your chances of surviving a fire. So that's the emphasis for this year.
Thank you. So the proclamation in part reads, whereas the city of Horseshoe Bay is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, and whereas smoke alarms can make a life-saving difference in home fire, and whereas roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths occur in homes with either no smoke alarms or no working smoke alarms, and whereas residents who have planned and practiced home fire escape plans are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, Horseshoe Bay residents are responsive to public education measures, and the 2024 Fire Prevention Week theme, Smoke Alarms Make Them Work for You, reminds residents to install smoke alarms in and outside of each sleeping area, test them at least once a month, and replace them when they reach the age of 10 years old. So therefore, the mayor and city council of the city of Horseshoe Bay proclaim the following October 6th through 12th shall hereafter be known as Fire Prevention Week in the city of Horseshoe Bay. Thank you very much. And now announcements and staff recognitions. Jeff, are you going to start that?
Council, residents, well, we have 2 new employees that we hired this last month. And Corey Everett, would you stand up? Corey Everett is our new regulatory and compliance administrator for the utilities department. If you ever see how much books of regulatory compliance we have to feed on the water, wastewater side, her job is really big. She comes from us from, where are you born? London? Yeah, so she's got a great accent. We'll enjoy picking on her about it, but it's great. A Texas London accent. So she has worked in risk management before and worked with the TEA, reporting on school safety and security audits, and is married and has 3 kids and 2 dogs. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Corey. You probably think she speaks the Queen's English, so she probably thinks we all have an accent, right? Welcome aboard.
All right, and our second is, his name is Dylan LeBounty. Okay, and he is a Marble Falls man, lived here all his life, and he has joined the field operation as a trainee, and he just committed to me for 40 years of service for utilities. Wonderful thing. All right, thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Okay, and now if we have enough firefighters left to do it. Oh, do you have something else, Dan? Okay.
We have the.
Okay.
Let's go.
So Chief Fowler has something that's kind of special that we started doing here in Horseshoe Bay. I'll let him tell you about it.
So we have a badge pinning ceremony, but first we do the firefighter oath. And Firefighter Hutchinson, if you'd take a position in front of the screen. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Brett Hutchinson, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Texas, and obey all of the laws thereof. Furthermore, I am a qualified and certified firefighter per the standards of the Texas Commission on Fire Protection, able to perform the duties and responsibilities entrusted to me, and that I will faithfully discharge those duties for the city of Horseshoe Bay. Congratulations, Firefighter Hutchinson, and now his officer will do the badge pinning.
Mm-hmm. Chief, which firehouse will Brett be in?
Brett works both stations, but predominantly assigned to Station 2.
So you people in Horseshoe Bay West, watch out for him. Thank you. Thank you very much. We moved to the part of our agenda for public comments, and I don't see any public comments except for Jim Jordan. And it so happens that that is the next item on the agenda for presentation. So Jim, we're ready for you. Jim represents the Horseshoe Bay Historical Committee. And Jim, if you want to, when you get ready, if you want to introduce the members of your committee who've worked on this, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Mayor, council, citizens, and friends of Horseshoe Bay. On behalf of the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee, I would like to introduce the community to the Tiger Mill Community Historical Marker. A similar marker was placed and unveiled in Independence Day last year at the community's patriotic program and now sits on Red Sail Street in front of Quail Point Lodge. Because there was no patriotic program this year, we are using this opportunity to present the 2024 historical marker. The Tiger Mill community was an early community in this area. An 1887 USGS topographical map that I have here shows Burnett, and it shows Tiger Mill. It also shows Marble Falls, but Marble Falls was no larger than Tiger Mill at that point in time. Tiger Mill is recognized by the state of Texas as an early Texas community. You'll see across the top part of this sign is a quotation from the Texas State Historical Association website. And that quotation, you probably can't read it from where you are, but it describes the early days and the disappearance of the Tiger Mill community. Now, the bottom part of the marker will describe the more recent history in more detail across 3 different eras, what we call the Fuchs years, the Forgotten years, and the Horseshoe Bay years. This marker will be placed in Fox Hollow Springs Park, which was the center of activity for the Tiger Mill community, placed there at a site chosen by the Horseshoe Bay Property Owners Association. So let me now recognize some of the people responsible for the creation of this marker. First of all, Mr. Jay Brown. Some of these people are present, and I'll ask them to stand as they're recognized. Jay Brown with Marble Fall Graphics created this marker, the earlier one from Quail Point, as well as all the signs in the nature park. Charles Hickson, resident of Horseshoe Bay, treasurer of the Llano Uplift Archaeological Society, organizer of the archaeological research that's been done out at Fox Hollow Springs Park, and also creator of the map that's right there in the middle. Thank you, Chuck, for all you're doing for us. Also, members of the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee that have worked on this. Some are here, some are not. Wayne Brascom, Eileen Hurd, Linda Lambert, Linda, stand, and Carol Rose. And of course, our two advisors, Jeff Jones and Jeff Koska, also give a lot of good help to us. We thank you all for that. So, in closing, council and community, please receive this marker as part of the ongoing story of Horseshoe Bay. We'll get it put in the ground pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim, for all the research you do on behalf of all of us. And it's very interesting, and I know that this community appreciates what you do for us. So now we move on to item number 8, adoption of the fiscal year 2025 budget. Actually, the next maybe 5 items on the agenda all relate to the budget and the tax rate. This is not something we create ourselves. This is all very strictly scripted by the state of Texas on how you adopt your budget and your tax rate. So we're simply following what the rules and the requirements are. So I'll turn it over to Molly Jester, the finance director.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I'm here to speak about ordinance 2024-22, which is adopting the budget for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed budget was filed with the Legislative Services Director on August 12th after a July workshop where input from City Council was given on the spending requests made by staff. A second workshop was held on August 27th to finalize any spending requests or formatting changes. Notifications for a public hearing were prepared, and the public hearing on the budget was held August 27th, the regular City Council meeting. In a subsequent meeting with the mayor and city manager, it was decided to increase reserves for transportation and drainage from $300,000 to $1.3 million for fiscal year 25. The attached budget is ready for adoption. This adoption will require a roll call vote.
Okay. So that's the report from staff. So council members, on page 9 of your packet, there is a suggested motion if somebody would like to make it.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-22, which will adopt the budget beginning 10/1/24 and ending 9/30/25 as presented by staff and amended as at this meeting, including designated unassigned reserves for vehicle replacements, transportation, and drainage as reflected in the budget.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second? And we can have discussion. Okay, motion seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. The motion was made by Councilmember Morgan. Is there any discussion, questions, council?
I think we beat it up pretty good.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, and now the Legislative Services Director will begin a roll call vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Waddell? Councilmember Hosea?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes in a 5-0 vote, so the budget is adopted. Thank you. In doing that, I again want to thank the staff. You guys did a remarkable job on putting this together. It's a very complicated process. It starts again in January, and we work on it all year. And we have a good, solid budget that we're about to talk about. Tax rates. We didn't increase the tax rates on the citizens, which is always our goal. So I'm really proud of it, and I thank you all again for all your hard work on that. So now we move on to a public hearing, and I'm going to open the public hearing at 3:20, and the public hearing is regarding the proposed 2024 ad valorem tax rate. Molly, do you want to make a presentation here?
Mayor and City Council, I'm here to talk about the public hearing regarding the proposed 24 ad valorem tax rate. Texas Tax Code, Chapter 26.06, requires cities to hold a public hearing on the tax rate. The initial tax rate was proposed in July, and the notification of the public hearing has been given both on the website and in publication so that citizens of Horseshoe Bay may express their opinions prior to the adoption of the tax rate. In July, the tax worksheets were not completed by the county, and final valuations had not been received. The city approved a proposed tax rate of 0.26775 per $100 as a maximum rate the council may approve. The staff will be recommending the same rate, as that avoids any mandated votes or petition votes to change the tax rate. The same tax code states that the public hearing can be no more than 7 days prior to the adoption of the tax rate. Therefore, the adoption of the tax rate will follow this public hearing. If it does not immediately follow the public hearing, council must announce a time and place where the vote will occur to approve the tax rate. Citizens have a final opportunity to bring forward any questions, comments, or concerns about the tax rate before the item is discussed and voted on following this public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Molly. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question, make a comment? Nope. Council members, do you have any questions or comments? Oh, having none, then we'll close the public hearing at 3:22. And that brings us to item number 10A, which is ordinance 2024-23, levying ad valorem taxes for the use and support of the municipal government of the city of Horseshoe Bay. Molly Jester again.
All right, Mayor and City Council, Chapter 26 of the Texas Tax Code requires cities in Texas to adopt a tax rate using specific verbiage after going through notification to citizens and a tax rate public hearing. Additionally, the public hearing requires notification in publications as well as on the city website, which also contains specific verbiage. The ordinance reflects a tax rate of 0.26775 per $100 value. The tax rate is greater than the no new revenue tax rate. This means that Horseshoe Bay is proposing to increase property taxes for the 2024 tax year, 2025 fiscal year. However, the tax rate is not greater than the voter approval tax rate and not greater than the de minimis rate. As a result, the city of Horseshoe Bay is not required to hold an election at which voters may accept or reject the proposed tax rate. However, residents may express their support for or opposition to the proposed tax rate by contacting members of the city of Horseshoe Bay at their offices or by attending the public hearing. The maintenance and operations portion of the rate will be 0.19400 per $100 valuation, and the interest and sinking portion will be 0.07375 per $100 of valuation. Both rates are to be approved, but the legislation does not exclude them from being approved together. The vote on the tax rate must be a record vote, and because the tax rate exceeds the no new revenue rate, must have 60% approval. The proposed motion must be read exactly as provided based on Tax Code 26.
Thank you. I told you, I told you that the state wrote this language and it is confusing. So it's saying that we raised the tax rate when we actually didn't raise the tax rate. We're getting more revenue than we had last year at the same tax rate. But that's the way they require us to state it. If you read the newspaper, the ESD, the county, everybody has exactly the same language. So it's more than confusing, but we are following the law. Council members, do you have any comments or questions? Okay, on
I
page,
have one question.
okay, yes, sir.
Is this confusing language the reason that it says, that our ordinance says that we're going to effectively raise the tax rate by negative 3.49% in the ordinance itself?
Where did you say that?
Page 54.
That's another part.
And that operations on a $100,000 home will be effectively
What page are
raised.
you on, Jeff?
You're the next 54. Page 54.
Tax rate, raise tax.
I see you.
I don't know.
Question.
On the bottom of page 54, Molly, in the ordinance, it says this tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by minus 3.49% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on the $100,000 home by approximately negative $7.01.
That's the interest rate difference, but the valuations increase so much, so we're actually getting more tax money. It's based off of the value.
So people, the M&O tax on a $100,000 tax actually went down because the INS rate went up.
Yes, the INS rate should go up. Yes, it has an opposite effect. The M&O rate decreased and the INS rate increased between the years. Is that your question?
So the,
Bottom line, it's still the same tax rate.
right, but the mixture between the INS and the M&O.
Between is what changed.
Here, I think,
Good question, Jeff.
well, there's page 52, Jeff, if you'll look on there. It says the average homestead taxable value right in the middle of the page, $589,000. What it's saying is because it has gone up, the value of homes out here is actually going to increase the taxes 12.67%. That's the way I'm reading this. It's actually going to cost each homeowner an average of 12.67%. Is that right, Molly, or not?
Yes, the original question relates to just the percentage rates. This is the dollar amount that a
It's
citizen's
the
going
actual
to pay.
what happens. To
Well, you don't know because that's an average. So
Well, that's-
it really depends on
still-
what your valuation is.
But still, that's what the average went up. So overall, it's going to be the same average, I would assume, for everybody. Now, if their value went down, which hasn't happened here in a long time,
Yeah, but not everybody's valuation went up.
I didn't see any that went down, but maybe they did.
No, I don't know that they went down. I'm not sure they went up, and they didn't go up some of them went up more, some of them went up less. This is
It
just,
says average homestead taxable value went up 12.67%.
that's probably true. Some of them may have gone up 50% and some of them may
I
not.
realize that, but that's what I'm saying for people to understand what's really happening. It's gone up 12.6.
Which, exactly.
That's not.
Which is why that we raised more taxes because the valuation went up on the same tax rate.
Obviously, we don't control that. That's land.
That is exactly right.
We do control how much it's going to cost them because we can adjust the tax rate, but we don't. We elected not to. The tax rate alone, the valuations have gone up.
Okay, so on page, where is this? Back to the motion. There is a suggested motion. Is there any more discussion? Any more? Oh, Larry, did you have a question? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Larry.
I move to approve ordinance 2024-23. Further, I move that the property tax rate be adopted at a rate of 0.26775 per $100, comprised of a M&O rate of 0.194400 per $100 and an INS rate of 0.07375 per 100, which is effectively an 8.28% increase in the tax rate from the no new revenue rate.
Okay, the motion has been made by Councilmember Morgan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Hosia. I have a motion and second. Will the Legislative Services Director proceed with the roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Waddell? Yes. Councilmember Hosea?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
And the motion to approve ordinance 2024-23 to adopt the tax rate for the city of Horseshoe Bay for fiscal year 2025 passes by a vote of 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Molly. And let's see, where does that take us now? Now it's still Molly. We're at item number
10B.
10B, to ratify the property tax revenue increase reflecting the annual adopted budget. Okay.
Okay, Mayor and City Council, Local Government Code 102.007C requires cities to hold a special vote if a budget is adopted that will raise more total property tax dollars than the prior year budget. While the tax rate may be lower than the previous year, it is possible to collect more property tax dollars based on the increase in property valuations in the area. Staff recommends City Council approve the motion to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget. No specific verbiage is required for this section.
Okay. There is a suggested motion on page 56, Council.
56.
I move to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the adopted annual budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025.
I have a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Jones. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and now is it still you, Molly?
Well, I'm a part of it.
The ordinance for 2024-24 amending the Appendix A of the fee schedule for the City of Horseshoe Bay Code of Ordinances. Are you going to discuss that one?
There's three of us. I'm
Okay.
part of it. So the third part down at the bottom is finance proposes the following addition to the fee schedule. There will be an increase in the annual fee for lot mowing twice a year from $170 to $190 per vacant undeveloped lot.
Okay, and so we need to adopt each one of these individually, I believe. No?
They're all in one ordinance.
Okay. Oh, okay, they're all part of the fee schedule. Okay, so that is the lot mowing. You all are proposing that we increase the rate from $170 to $190 each time we mow. Okay. And Ray Garcia,
Utilities, Mayor and Council. Utilities proposes the following changes to the fees. Water service rates reflect a 5% increase. The increase is to fund capital projects for the adopted 5-year capital improvement plan. Garbage rates reflect a 5% increase. This increase is due to contractual obligations or a 3.5% increase to waste management and an additional 1.5% to support brush and recycling operations. Water and sewer tap rates reflect a 10% increase. This increase is to cover costs associated with new tap installations.
okay. Thank you. Council members, do you want to answer questions while you're standing up there? If you all have any questions of Ray on these, we've already discussed all of this at the budget, but if you have any other questions.
The 10% increase in sewer and water taps, that's just for new construction.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Okay. So there's not,
It's just reflective of it.
yeah, there's not a imposition of any additional funds for homeowners now. Okay.
I'd just like to also say that the last 2 years, we've not had a utility rate increase on the water side. We're not having one on the wastewater side, but on the water side. And we were falling behind on some of our costs on that. I think partly because of the drought, and partly because as we were getting windfall money, and then our conservation measures are doing better. So our higher tiers are kind of coming down. So we're seeing a kind of a little bit drop in our revenue. And we are still one of the very lowest in our region for water cost.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, and Developmental Services proposes some changes in the building and development fees. So Ray Jamber is going to tell us what that is.
Yes, ma'am. We have three. We added a third fee type to Section A of the building permits and codes for the actual cost of professional services and third-party inspection costs for residential and commercial projects with a 15% service charge. This new fee is to address the increase in projects requiring professional services review and inspections. Basically, what this is boiling down to is to cover the overhead that the staff has had to do when we handle these kind of reviews and we use third parties. There's lots of folks that are involved with that, and yet we're doing that as kind of a subsidy, if you will, for the growth. And the purpose is to avoid having our existing residents subsidize that growth that they don't necessarily directly benefit from. Same thing is true of the second one. We are increasing the fee for Section A301BR to cover the actual inspection cost. The increase is from $50 for each inspection to $65. That's the actual cost that we're paying to the subcontractors that do that. Again, to stop subsidizing that $15 deficit. The final one is the same as the first one. It's just in a different section of the fee ordinance. It's to include the actual cost of professional services review and third-party inspection fees, plus that 15% service charge to basically cover all the staff time that's associated with that effort.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions for Ray? No, I have a question, Ray. So these increases, now that David Milligan has moved into the position of building inspector, is he actually going to be doing some of the inspections internally?
Yes, ma'am, going forward.
Okay, so that the same rate will apply to those that we do internally.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's, once again, whether we actually outsource it or not,
It still costs
we
money.
can't take a trip out there for less than that.
Right, okay, great. Okay, council, do you have any questions on any of these fee schedule adjustments? Okay, so on page 57, if anyone would like to make, there is a recommended motion.
I'll make the motion. I move to approve ordinance 2024-24, amending Appendix A fee schedule as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Jones. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? So ordinance number 2024-24 passes. We've done 24 amendments, ordinances this year. Are you guys proud of yourself? Okay, Jeff, LCRA lease.
Yes, ma'am. Council, Mayor, Council, and citizens. This item is to discuss the proposed LCRA land lease to provide for development, maintenance, and management of the property and use for the premises and for the facilities, which is adjacent to the city center. And it will have vehicular access, parking, and a small park for the city, which is in conjunction with the city center. So this term of this lease is 20 years, and the cost of the lease is $1. And so we work with LCRA to use this track. This track is right adjacent to the property, kind of between where the rock pit is and the road that goes to the rock pit in that area. And there are some complexities to this lease that have caused it to delay a little bit. One is that Mr. Glenn Salins, who owns the pit, there's an access way, and so we're working through to make sure that we're resolve that issue where we all share the same access way. That will be Center Drive later down the road, which will be a public access for his facilities behind there. And then also there is a LCRA liquid petroleum pipeline that feeds Ferguson plant. There's some complexities with that, being close to that. We're working with LCRA to ensure there is no danger to the public or to the pipeline to make that happen. We are also working with LCRA to get a temporary order just until we get this kind of worked out, and we're still working on the details with the attorneys, both our city attorney and LCRA's attorneys, to get this kind of hammered out to the exact way that we need this to be to protect both the city and LCRA. And so we were hoping that we would have that finalized by this meeting. It is not. We're still expecting probably a week to 2 weeks left of negotiation back on the attorneys. And it's just things as, what happens at the end of the lease and to protect our assets that we have on the property that we're going to build in there, which is just going to be a parking area and some water quality issues there. And then eventually with phase 2, we'll end up putting trails on the property for our community to be able to walk around and probably some, we've been talking about maybe some concrete pedestals for some artwork for local artists to kind of propose their work like they do in downtown Marble Falls. So we're really pleased that LCRA was able to give us this. It took us from 4.5 acres, which we had at City Center in our lift station that we had adjacent to the property, to over 10 acres. And we're also working with Mr. Glenn Salem to possibly get some property associated with his in the back, so we can have some additional tracks tied to that as well. So it's a good project. It's moving forwards, but what we're looking to do is to get the council to approve the contract pending the review of the city manager and the city attorney, and then we get that right before we bring this to the mayor. And the reason we're asking that instead of kicking it down the road is we have started construction on the city center site in this month, and we wanted to get this kind of as fast as we could off. And so as soon as the city attorney and myself, and I will be working with the mayor as far as that too, Jeff Jones, who is attorney as well, make sure that we're clear on everything that we need to have on that, then we'll go ahead and sign it and move forward with it.
Okay. Yeah, this has been a real galloping pony. We've been working on this for a year, and between getting it to our council and to their board and their lawyer and our lawyer, and they're all named Ben. It's
Yeah, right. Yeah.
it's been tough, but we'll get there. And we really appreciate the LCRA, their generosity in working with us on this. And I know we'll get there. So we just don't want to delay this for another council meeting. So we would like the council to give Dottie and Jeff and myself your authority to move forward once everybody's happy with this. So that's rather than the suggested motion that's in the agenda, we've passed out another one here. If someone would like to make this potential motion, and then we can discuss it after the motion.
Mayor, I can do that if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the LCRA property lease agreement for the approximately 5.9 acres located in FM 2147 adjacent to the new city center, upon completion of remaining negotiations with LCRA and approval of the lease terms by the city manager and city attorney in a form substantially as presented, provided that if there are significant changes to the material terms of the lease during the remaining negotiations, the city manager shall bring the lease back to the city council with a report on such changes.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember King. Is there a second? Second from the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any discussion? Did you have something else you wanted to add,
Ma'am,
Jeff?
we believe that in about 2 weeks, we should have this kind of worked out. And like the motion says, if there's any substantial changes to it, then we will bring it back in October.
Jeff, as written right now, it looks like the city will have right of first refusal in the event that LCRA decides to sell that to a third party. Is that?
That's a negotiating point that we're working through right now, because there is some back and forth on that. So
Okay.
we'll be discussing that, and we are trying to protect our interests in that.
I will be very interested in that.
Okay.
So just go on record for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussions? Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you.
So we will move forward with that, and hopefully we will get that resolved in the next couple of weeks, because we can't put our construction trailer there until we get this resolved, right?
Well, I think I'm working with LCRA to get that put in sooner than the time we get this done. And then the other thing is we're working through our our water quality permit and getting that done. We believe that might be done by the end of this week. So
Okay,
there will
good.
be construction
So-
starting probably next week.
Hopefully you'll
On
see
our
the
side.
silt fence go up. You'll see some tractors out there and we'll finally break ground on this thing. Okay, now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Item 11, council, is there anything you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda? There's A through M on there. Okay. If not, then I'll entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Okay.
And the mayor.
Thank you. Yes, the motion has been made by Councilmember Jones. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilmember Morgan. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And that brings us to monthly reports. Gosh, guys, we're moving right along here.
Moving right along
Yeah.
today. This is good. So I have Tim Fran is going to kind of give us an update on the road situation and on the work that we've done. And also he's going to bring us up to date on our park renovations, which if you pull up, you'll see there's a lot of work being done out there because we're about to get the bathrooms in. And once we get the bathrooms in, we're going to start working on the slab and then follow up with the new pavilion out there. So, Tim.
Well, Jeff just kind of
I know.
wrapped it up.
There you go.
Road.
Well done, Tim. Thank you.
Road reconstruction is going well. We poured quail in a 2-pour Friday and a Wednesday. So that is done. They've moved over to Lost Nugget. They're working on that one. We're going to go through just like we have, street by street. We won't pave until we get close to the end. We'll start paving. Quail, as you all know, is concrete. So the exciting news for the park is we should have it in set by the end of the week. We should have it in Thursday. So we have to do some modification, as Jeff mentioned, to the pad to thicken it up on the edges to hold the new pavilion. So that is scheduled as well. We're going to get that set. Then we'll move to the pad. Once the pad is completed, we will begin construction on the new pavilion.
Great.
Everything's moving along.
And I just want to point out, I want to thank Tim. When the provider of the building suddenly told us that they could not move it in unless we demolished the structure that was already there, which meant that the bathrooms got removed. So we weren't happy with that. So just for you pickleball people, and let your pickleball friends know, the building that's back there, the portable building, that's restrooms. And that's available to the pickleball courts and also to the park during this period of construction. And Tim's crew brought that in. So thank you very much. That's a nice convenience for the community. And hopefully we'll get this done.
I had many questions and concerns about the size of the grass that's growing along the roads in some of our streets. And it is blocking when they try to pull out and everything. And I've mowed my own street and stuff just because I couldn't pull out on Broken Hills without getting run over. But is that in the mowing thing, or where do we do that? It's just the rains, the 3 inches, it really made it grow.
It's made a tremendous difference. And yes, to answer your question, it is in the mowing program, which will start October 6th. We've sent letters out last week to give the self-maintained people time to get theirs done before we bring the contractors in. The other thing, Dwight, you have to remember is you all approved the tractor for next year.
I thought we did.
So if we have high rain like that, we'll have that sickle blade on the back of that we can drive around the roads and, get 3 feet behind the curb. So it should help.
When are they coming in then?
I'm sorry?
When is the mowing going to start?
October 6th.
But we have that new app, the Click It, Fix It. Is that something, whoops, Sam left. Is that something that's on there? If you see a place where there is a real hazard you feel, I think you could use that app to let Tim know. And I think
People haven't used the app, Mayor. We've gotten phone calls and we've gone out.
But
It's
it does.
simple.
phone calls with the app, either way, let them know and we'll try. We certainly don't want any dangerous intersections.
No, we don't.
Yeah, and you can actually move it to the location where you're talking about. So it gives us kind of specific instructions for that. And that goes straight to Cody, which is.
We do have a tractor and a machine that we can go out, and those ones that are too high, we could do those if we need to, because Is this going to take
We don't have it yet.
Yeah,
We'll
it-
be getting it.
It starts October 1st with our budget. We've already kind of got everything ready, lined up, talked to the contractor that's going to provide it. And so it's, I don't know if we put in
On
the
schedule.
PO.
Yeah,
Yes.
we should have, yeah, you've
As soon as
already
we can.
approved the PO, so we
Yes, right.
should be able to pick it up as soon as it's available.
Good. Did you have a comment, Frank?
make a comment. Dwight, I told Tim about patchy tears. You couldn't see the stop sign.
Yeah.
And he whacked it out that day. You got it whacked out that day.
Right.
So great. Okay, thank you, Tim.
All right, Sean.
Are there any other staff reports?
No, I just, once again, I'd like to thank the staff for all the work they did on the budget and the council as well. It was a long process, starts in January, ends, this month with this meeting. And so I'm taking a vacation. So I really thank the staff, though. They put in a ton of work, especially Rachel, who is over HR. She did a lot of work to keep our staff taken care of. And then Molly, who took this job on and has performed great through the process. And so I just wanted to thank them personally in front of everybody.
Thank you. And one thing, yes.
Yeah.
And all of them. In the board reports, Jeff and I were discussing this earlier, and I think we're going to try to point this out tomorrow at the town hall, which I'll get to in a minute. But one thing I thought was really interesting is on page 69 of the board reports, and that's the number of residential building permits new residential permits that we've had in the fiscal year 2024. Year to date through August in 2020. In 2021, we had 150 new building starts. In 2022, we had 216 new building starts. In 2023, it was 133, and this year to date, it's 91. So even though it really looks like there's a lot of building going on, the new residential starts have really gone down this year. And sort of to your question, Dwight, about the tax rate, that's something that is going to come up in the coming years because we're enjoying the finishing of the 2022 houses that were started then. So these houses that are started this year, it's going down. So the revenue is going to start getting more challenging as our new house starts are going down. So it's good and it's bad, but I think we're concerned about growth. And so the growth is turning around, and I just wanted to point that out to you all.
Mayor, all I was trying to do was just open up and be as open as we could about what's actually happening.
Absolutely.
And I agree with 100% that the buildings, all that really raised our income and stuff because we had a bigger tax base, and it will go down, maybe. You never know, but it has dropped some.
Absolutely, it has. And on that, tomorrow's town hall at 3:00. At the yacht club, the staff has worked really hard. They've all got booths set up for the citizens to come by and visit with them, and they've got little gifts to give out. They've got all the answers to all the questions, and so I know that all of you will be there, and I hope we will have a really good turnout from the citizens. I know there's a distraction going on at Quail Point at 1:00, and hopefully people will be able to leave that and come to the town hall because we've got a lot to celebrate in the city of Horseshoe Bay. And the staff has worked really hard, so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at town hall tomorrow afternoon.
Will Jeff Koska be in the dunking booth?
Still paying for that.
Okay, are there any further staff reports?
No, ma'am.
Okay, yes, Dwight?
On the fire chief, if you could, I was going through all the reports and I saw that response times are interesting, especially in West. We have we don't quite meet our goal, and I realize it's a bigger area and all the stuff. Is there any? But I think we've got like a 5-minute response time or 4.5 or something like that's our goal, and then we get out 7 and 8 and quite a bit more sometimes. And I was thinking about our new fire station and everything there. Is there anything that we need to be doing is there anything we can do to help that response time?
So in order to lower that response time, we would have to add facilities. So it's just a recognition that by national standards, we need to prefer to be on site at a structure fire in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And of course, our average is over 6 minutes. And when you look at the 90th percentile, which is the way they look at performance measures for this area, we rarely achieve it in any given neighborhood. We have a couple that we do, but more facilities in the future will make a difference.
And that affects insurance rates and things like that, or what all does that?
So we have an ISO rating of 4 right now, and the best being 1, the worst being 10. So if you had a ISO 10, then by data published a few years back, you would be paying about 40% of your insurance policy would be for fire protection. And you could get that lowered by increasing the ISO rating, which is it's an evaluation of the water system, fire protection, and the communication center. So we're in the 60th percentile as far as points go. So that puts us ISO 4. If we were able to get down to an ISO 2, which I think is potentially within our reach within the next couple of years, then we could save another 8% on average with homeowner insurance policies.
I think that would be, I know you've gone through this before in some of our meetings, and I apologize for bringing it up again, but I was thinking that's something that would help our tax rate and stuff. If we could show people where we're balancing out by saving them, by spending all this money building new facilities and that sort of thing, that we're saving them in the long run, we're saving them money on insurance and all the other things that are out there.
Yes, sir. There's a direct correlation, and we're also working on increasing the number of Firewise communities so we can at least hold the insurance companies at bay, because we know that a few people have had their policies canceled because their company was no longer going to insure them in that area. So both things do have an effect on cost.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dwight. Any other questions, council? Okay, so that concludes the business on the agenda, and so we will go into executive session. We'll adjourn this meeting at 3:56 and going into executive session pursuant, I have to read this, pursuant to the Texas Government Code referenced below, claim for unpaid balance due for the rental of horizontal grinder from Vermeer, Texas, Louisiana, discussion under 551.071, relating to Fox House property under 551.071 and 551.072, denial of permit application for noncompliant builders, including amendments for the building regulations and enforcement actions relating to property located 1902 Bay West Boulevard for failure to complete the building under 551.071. So the meeting is adjourned, and thank you all so much for coming,
Well,
and we'll see you
it's
tomorrow.
not adjourned. The meeting is not,
I'm sorry, we will go,
Recess.
the meeting is, this meeting ends, we're going into executive session, so unfortunately, all of you have
then
to
we'll
leave.
come back